on the road. Let's get the show started. How many of you guys have enjoyed this class? I know you guys are so excited, right? I am super thrilled about this class. I mean, it has me like honestly not able to sleep at night. You know, like I said last week, I cannot wait till August 17th. Can anybody tell me the reason why I can't wait till August 17th?
The changes have an effect.
Thank you. Guess what happens August 17th? We get to use this. Okay? So I'm going to recap a couple of things. We have to start learning obviously this way ahead of time. We don't want to have it be like at the last minute or we don't know what's going on and we don't want to look, I'm sorry to say it, like a fool in front of our client. Because what ends up happening when you don't practice with like your trade, you may lose a client, lose business, you can do anything. And on top of that, remember, what did I say a couple of times? First impressions are very important. So if you look professional, the outcome is everything is going to come out to play. If you come prepared, everything's going to come out great, right? Mm-hmm. If you're not prepared, what ends up happening? You end up slipping up. You end up saying the No one wants to hear that. It sounds like you're sick to your stomach, and you probably have to vacate that room because you just lost it, right? Okay, so a couple of things. I want to touch bases on the BRBC, and for those, I got a feedback last week, which I am going to keep in mind, Doris. I will make sure that, and again, because I'm so used to saying RPA, PRBC, SBSA, you guys should know what that is, the BIA and all that stuff. But because these are new documents, I will make sure that I do say what the significance or the meanings of them are. The BRBC, the Buyer Representation Broker Compensation Agreement. I want to recap paragraph 7. That's on page 2, guys. So I'm going to go to that on the screen as well as if you have it in front of you, that'd be great for you to view. I'm going to recap this area because this is, this is important for you to know. Before I go to paragraph 7, I did issue a little bit of homework last time. Does anybody know what that was? Anybody whatsoever? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Let me check my notes.
Ooh, yeah, Ursi, please check this file of yours. Okay, so if you don't recall, I will refresh your memories. We spoke about what is your obligations as a buyer's agent. I said, please take the time and at least list 21 items. Write it down and let me know, because I want to hear what you guys think that your responsibilities are as a buyer's agent. And I don't want to hear, I am the best agent in the whole wide world. That is not one of those. And if you are, great, kudos to you. Shoot, I think so. I believe it. But I want to know, what quality do you have as a buyer's agent that you will perform with your buyers? So, anybody want to share? Did anybody do it? Marisa? No. Okay, so I'm gonna pick on you right now. Okay. Give me a quality that you believe that you have as a buyer's agent that the buyer needs to know about you so that they hire you.
Well, that I'm gonna be this guy through the whole process, and I'm gonna try to explain my best to every single document he will have to sign, about the expenses he will have to pay, and then try to give as much information and my way to try to make him understand easier than not just all the legal stuff. Okay. My best.
Okay. Jamie, what's a quality?
You're gonna say that.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi.
Happy Monday. Give me a quality that you have.
Mine would be, I would explain to them that in this market, it's very important who you work with. Experience does matter. And in this market, you have to be an aggressive agent. You have to build rapport with the other agent in order to get your offers accepted. So I would go over the fact that I'm like a little piranha when I'm on the buyer side I work to get their offer accepted. And a huge thing is communication with the other agent. And seeing what does that offer need to say, taking the extra steps needed in order to be top of mind to them when they see my offer come through.
I love that. Doris,
Honesty, integrity, and I listen to them.
I love it. Ursi,
Making sure that I get as much information about the property so that I can write an excellent offer and not jeopardize the buyer in any way, to cover all bases so that everybody knows exactly what is meant, and to educate my buyer on making sure that the contract, they understand it, and whatever I'm writing in the contract and going over it, it's for their best, for their best interest. And I'm really a good contract writer and an excellent negotiator.
awesome. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear someone say negotiator, because that is my nickname. So I wanted to hear someone else say that. Got it?
I will protect their investment. They have to know that with me, their investment, the money that they're going to invest in this new property is going to be well taken care of, and that I will find the property that will match and protect what they want.
These are all great answers. These are all great. Now we just, guess what we have to do? We have to list them and place it on a real estate or realtor resume. Again, I did mention a couple of classes back, we will have that class. I will teach that class. If no one's ever done a real estate resume, a realtor resume, it's super easy. But just a lot of people complicate it because they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to use Canva. Oh, it's always, I don't have time. I'm too busy. If anyone saw my IG story this morning, I did mention that, and I did say that it's not that you're too busy or you don't have time. It's whether or not you choose to make the time to invest in your business. Okay, so just keep that in mind. We'll have that class later on. But thank you guys for actually mentioning what is your duty as a buyer's agent. People want to hear that. With that said, I want you guys to know that I decided to do some research. And if you guys didn't know, guess what? Look at this. Look at that. 179 ways agents who are realtors are worth every penny of their compensation. Where did I get this from? Where do you think? National Associations of Realtors. It has, and this helps whether it's you're a listing or a buyer's agent. There's 179 activities on here. I suggest you Google, find it, download it, use it, get some stuff from here. Look at pre-listing activities, listing appointment presentations, listing appointment. It has so many things that you guys do, whether it's a buyer's agent or a listing agent. This can help you out. It's only 12 pages of 179 things that you guys, of qualities and things that traits that we do. Ain't that great? It's already pre-written for you. You just now have to snip it, take a snip of it. All right, guys. So let's go back. Let's go back to this wonderful area. Okay, so now that we know what our duties and our obligations are, what is the buyer's obligation? What do you think a buyer's obligation is?
Acting in good faith, personally.
Well, that's number one, acting in good faith. Buyer agrees to timely view and consider property selected by broker and to negotiate in good faith. Let me zoom this guy so that you guys are not needing to use your glasses. To acquire, buyer further agrees to act in good faith toward the completion of any contract entered into for a property in furtherance of this agreement. Personal and financial information. See, when it comes down to that B, that's really, I would say that's be more of the lending side of things. So you don't really have to mess with that. Just make sure that you do have a pre-qual letter, your DU approval, anything that your lender's supposed to be giving to you so that you have that, because that's actually their duty to provide to you. But sometimes we have already babied and spoiled our clients. We're like, yeah, don't worry about it. I'll get it from your loan officer. Okay, but you know, in a way, it can go either way. You can get it from them, or you can contact their LO and get that information. C, reasonable care and other professional assistance. Buyer's obligated and agrees to read all documents provided to buyer. Buyer agrees to seek desired assistance from appropriate professionals selected by buyer, such as those referenced in attached buyer's BIA, the investigation advisory. Okay, professional assistance. Who's the one that's professionally assisting them?
Me.
no, not you, everybody. All you guys, is all you guys. You guys are to be professionally assisting them. How? By reading every documentation. How? By make sure you're asking them the important question in the beginning before you meet with them, which is what, Marisa?
Buyer contract.
Correct. Are you working with another realtor? Have you signed an agreement? Great. You haven't here. I would love to show you this property next week. Sign right now. Okay. Sign your life away. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, that's great, guys. So you remember that. Let's go to D. Reports and investigations. Remember, we are not professional investigators. We are not inspectors. Please watch what you say, because guess what? Now that you're having them fill this and sign it at the bottom, they're gonna hold you to this. So remember, when you're doing an inspection, or when you're doing, because now they call it an investigation, which I felt like, I mean, someone got arrested.
Yeah.
They read on their Miranda's rights, you have the right to remain silent. No. When you're doing an inspection, make sure you are cautious on how you talk about an inspection, how you see something. And Rob Feldman has made it clear many, many times. If it's black substance on the wall, do we want to say that it's mold?
No.
No. So watch what you say, because they can't keep that in their here. They're always going to remember that. It's funny how they don't ever remember the positive, but they always remember the negative. Exactly. So watch what you say with them, especially because we are going to talk about the BMI form, which is a buyer material form. Okay, I'm keeping that in mind, Doris. I'm telling you, I got this. I got you on this one. So buyer material issues. So this is where we transition into this. I'm going to put the form on the screen so you guys can see this. I want you to keep in mind that when you guys are talking to your client and you already have, now this is like something that you guys already have the buyer broker representation already signed and everything. You've done your presentation as a buyer's agent. They are now committed to working with you. Let's talk about the buyer material issues. Obviously, I'm representing Justin Timberlake. That hasn't changed. You know, I'm so happy and thrilled that RE/MAX Champions is representing him. And he's made an offer to buy 121 South Mount Avenue. I mean, it's there. But we need to find out what are their concerns. This is why I say be careful with anything that you say, but also find out what is their concern and what are they looking for when they're looking for a property. Now that's going to matter, because they could easily tell you, Ursi, I am looking for a property that's not located in a commercial zone. Okay, so if I'm the buyer and I'm telling you that, guess what you need to write it? You need to write it in there. CAR has mentioned in their webinar, do not have the buyer not fill this out and put here NA, not applicable. That will bite you in the tush. I mean, I would have said another word, but I wanted to say tush because it sounds cuter, you know? That will bite you in the bush. So can anybody list some concerns buyers have when buying a property? Name one.
Well, okay, say they don't want a pool, and they list they don't want a pool, but then they don't want to find a house with a pool.
Well, then you can always change it up.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
this isn't.
We gotta ask them right up front. What is a concern that you have when buying a home?
I don't want to buy it on a BC Avenue because
There
of
you-
my children.
Put it in there. Because then they can come back and say, well, I got this house. You know how some buyers are, especially those nitpicky ones that you are so happy that the transaction closed.
Yeah.
They don't come back and use you, but you find out that they use another agent a year later to sell their property, and then they complain to that agent. You're friends with that agent, and then you end up finding out, you know what, that last realtor I used, you know what, they didn't hear my wants and needs, and I got this house and I'm stuck with it, and now I'm buying it because I told them I didn't want to be in this area, and I purchased in this area. You better put it here. Address it. Address concerns, material facts. I don't want, an AD, I don't want an ADU in the backyard. I don't want to live near a homeless community. I don't wanna live down the street from a church. I don't wanna, I don't wanna be next door to Wendy's, cause, smelling their hamburgers makes me hungry all the time.
Yeah, don't wanna be next to the school because of the noise.
There you go. I don't wanna be in front of, and I'm not bringing down, I don't wanna be in front of West Covina High School because every year they graduate, everybody's parking up in my street. Boom,
Train.
thank you. Please, insert this right there. Insert all of their concerns. What is it that we don't want inserted in there? What are the letters?
NA.
NA. No, please insert it there because that is what they're recommending, add it in there. Okay?
What if they don't have anything that they're objecting to, just leave that blank?
They better write it in there.
Everyone has at least one.
Everybody has something that they object to. Girl, do not fall forward. I don't have insurance for this class, okay? Maybe the office says, I don't, okay. No, there's always a concern. How many of us have purchased a house? We all have, okay? So we pretty much know what we want and what we don't want, right? Okay, so we put something in there. As time goes on and after you've met with them, they're gonna now say more things. Great, let's put it back in there. We always want this because again, we don't wanna have a liability. We wanna make sure we've covered all of our tracks, okay? So look at paragraph number 4, because these forms are relatively easy to understand. Scope of broker duty. A, broker recommends that buyers select other professionals to investigate the property through inspections, investigations, tests, surveys, reports, studies, and other available information, inspections, and during the transaction. So long story short, guys, I'm not an inspector. I am what? I'm a licensed real estate agent in the state of California. Can I do an inspection and say, well, I see this and oh my gosh, that crush right there, that could be that? No. Why? Because that can jeopardize my license. I am now promoting something that I'm not even licensed for. So that's why we recommend that any inspections be done through what? Professionals. And you guys do know that the buyer should have how many options for their inspections and all that stuff?
3.
Thank you. Thank you. And who chooses it?
Yeah, they do.
Thank you. Why is that?
Liability.
Thank you. So you see that big wonderful word? We don't want to be it. B, buyer acknowledges and agrees that broker, 1, does not decide what price buyer should pay or seller will accept. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Marisa, why'd you put that face?
Okay, because I mean, we're supposed to suggest and help them to.
You can suggest, but you cannot decide for
Oh,
them.
not decide.
So, okay, so example, Lily, we shown properties, I showed Olive Fontana. I'm going to have David Romero excommunicated from this class.
Sorry, chief.
It's okay. I showed you properties in Fontana. There's one, by Palmetto, I don't know. Cause I don't know the streets over there, I just know them from a TV show that I watch. And you really enjoy it. And you say, you know what, I want this property, the property's listed at 525. And then I tell you, okay, and you're like, I wanna write up an offer. I'll make suggestions based on comparables. But I will ask her, how do you feel about this? What I'm giving you? What price do you wanna put it in at? I didn't decide. She'll tell me, okay, based on the comparables, let's put an offer in at 540. Great, perfect. There you go. So see, I'm holding off on liabilities. 2, yes, Ursi, did you have something to say? No? I know, I'm sorry. Well, did you?
No, it's okay.
But I'm not a mind reader, but I felt like you wanted to tell me something. Number 2, does not guarantee the condition of the property. Remember, I don't guarantee the condition of the property. Who does? In reality, it's what disclosure will say, what the inspections come back in at. Remember, we do not guarantee the condition of the property. It's what we see, the reports that we get from the licensed professionals that give those reports. 3, does not guarantee the performance, adequacy, or completeness of inspection services, products, or repairs provided or made by the sellers or others. Remember, it's in life and in reports, nothing's ever guaranteed. We can somewhat get to that guarantee, but it's not gonna be 100%. Unless you're buying a brand new home. Why is that? Because it's brand new. Brand spanking new. 4, does not have an obligation to conduct an inspection of common areas off the site of the property. We've already discussed that. Remember, we are not inspectors. Obviously, we do our visual inspections. It's a little bit different, guys. Rob Feldman has already mentioned this, how we should do our avids, because our avids are what? The number one, disclosure that gets taken into court, because what do agents like to put down on that avid?
Nothing. Nothing to note.
Nothing
Nothing
noted.
noted.
Nothing noted. NA. Or they put a freaking line through it and that's it. How incomplete is that? Well, I have other agents giving me like a book report and additional text addendum that follows with the avid. Be as clear and precise as you can with your avids. We don't want to go to court. Shall not be responsible for identifying defects on the property and common areas offsite unless such defects are visible, observable by an inspection of visible aspects. I think you guys understand where I'm coming with this, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Let's go down to C. Broker owes no duty to inspect for common environmental hazards, earthquake, geologic, seismic hazards. Listen, I don't work in Pasadena where that lady from, what is it, Caltrans, the GOP people, the ones that observe earthquakes. Caltech, there you go, I said
The
Caltrans.
two ladies have been there
Forever and a day, since I was a
Since I'm
kid.
little.
And I'm like, these people are still there. You know, they have to have good retirement plans. I don't work at Caltech. But guess what? We get those reports. And guess what we get to do? Within our duty, we go through the reports with them. Please, I would like to, a show of hands. Who likes to send out disclosures to buyers and not go through them with them?
I hate that.
Oh, can anybody? I really want to know who does that.
My best friend, and I'm not gonna say her name.
Mr. Romero. Okay, please.
There's so much liability in it.
So much liability, guys. Remember, I want to talk when I'm talking to you guys about this class, because now we've spoken about what we're supposed to be signing when we have the buyer. Now we want to make sure we don't have the liability now within contract, because they will come at us. Remember, we are being, it's like a magnifying glass. They are looking at everything. It might sound scary, but honestly, it's not, guys. As long as you're doing it the right way, okay? 5, let's go, buyer representations. Buyer represents that buyer has disclosed to broker all material issues regarding features, issues, concerns. Obviously, we'll have disclosures when it's given to us. But once again, with disclosures come a conversation. We go through it with them. We address anything. Remember that. And I think you guys already do that anyways. But again, this is that BMI form. Not the body mass index on our bodies. No, it's not to calculate the fat. It's to make sure the reduction of fat of our liabilities, okay? I don't know if that made any sense, but I think you get where I'm coming from, okay? So BMI literally is number 7, letter E, buyer material issues. What are we supposed to do, guys? Any concerns, anything that they have, we talk to them up front and we place it there. If there's nothing, like if it's only one thing, great. But if more things come up, just keep in mind that we need to address up there. Why? Because this is good for anything liability at the end. If they want to come back with, I didn't want to buy this house. Well, I'm sorry, Ursi, you did tell me you wanted to like buy a house next to Wendy's because you love their burgers so much, and you did place it there. I know, I love Wendy's too, okay, so. Oh, you don't like Wendy's? No? Yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, you like In-N-Out? Okay, I'll switch it to In-N-Out.
May I ask
Yes.
a quick question? So we can go back and add this even though they have already signed it? Do we have them initial the ones that they add, just so they don't say, well, you added this after I signed and I didn't know?
So until we find out what's gonna happen with this,
Okay.
I would have them, my suggestion, because Carr has already said in regards to this form, this could be a questionnaire. Okay, which is great. I can't wait. I think the questionnaire will be a lot easier because it gives them more ideas of, what to check mark. My suggestion is if they've already signed this and they're adding more stuff, have them add more stuff and bingo, initial and date. Why? What don't we want to do? We don't want to go to court. Any questions regarding this, guys?
Yes, if they change their mind and decide they wanna buy a house with a pool, should you go back in and make a note of that in initial and
Any
date it?
changes, yes. It's gonna be a nuisance, but honestly, if they do make this into a questionnaire, I'll be more happy.
Yeah,
I'd be more happy because it will be a nuisance to have to go back to this. How about if we lose this form? You know how we agents are. We carry so many forms and lose them. And then if we're not paperless and we always have these with us, we're always losing something. So I personally believe that they will be making this into a questionnaire, but at least you know upfront what this form is. Okay? All right. So let's go back to, so with that said, and because the next part is attorney's fees, dispute resolution. Honestly, we've already gone through that through Rob Feldman's class. You know, that's on the last page of the RPA. I want to discuss the other forms, okay? So we're gonna trickle down. We're gonna talk about, what are the first letters of the alphabet?
ABC.
Learn the first four letters of the alphabet. I'm glad, okay, we know that the first four letters of the alphabet are ABCD, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Guess what, guys?
Wow.
We're gonna go through this one more time.
Which one is that one?
This is called the anticipated broker compensation disclosure.
I'm looking for that
A,
one.
B, C, D. No. Sorry. A, B, C, D. At the end of this class, basically, I will give you the list of forms that you should already start prepping with and learning, okay? A, B, C, D, anticipated broker compensation disclosure. Does anybody remember why this is used?
For the compensation, how much are we gonna get paid? Discussing it with the
if they're
buyer.
offering or not offering on each property you're gonna show.
Correct.
But they're gonna give more.
If they're gonna have to pay, or if the compensation is gonna be good. Basically, I like to call this form before they fall in love form, and then they find out they have to pay your commission when they fall in love with the house. That's out of, like, you know, that's ridiculous. Okay, they're gonna have a reality check when they be like, I really love this house, oh shoot. Oh, I gotta pay that no, I don't think I love this house after all. You know, it all depends, because it's gonna be 50-50, okay? I wanna go through this form really quick, because when I spoke about it last week, it was like we had a little musical happening, you know, we did the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s and all that stuff. But I wanna go back to this because I think that we need to learn and you guys need to understand. You can actually issue this form. If you already know the properties that you're gonna be looking at, you can actually issue the form and give it over to the buyer before reviewing those properties so that they already know. Or you can do it afterwards.
It's a good idea.
It's
Before,
I think I actually think before would be a good thing. Everybody can have an opinion of something else, but because at this point, we have already signed our representation, right? We're exclusive, right? Are we non-exclusive?
yes,
Exclusive.
Exclusive. So I think that it'll be a good suggestion. And I'm glad that we're able to talk openly here because you guys can give me your opinions. You can issue it before you go out and show properties, or you can do it afterwards when writing offers for the properties. For me, I think it can go either way, but I probably do it before. Why? Because I don't want them to be surprised or be shocked. And the one thing I don't want to do is for a buyer to say the infamous words, well, you didn't tell me that. Because how many times have we heard that before? Right? So it says on the top part right here, in this black area right here in the middle, buyer acknowledges that buyer has read, understands, and received a copy of this anticipated broker compensation disclosure. By initialing in the box below, buyer acknowledges being advised of the broker's anticipated compensation for the property identified. So you see, it says here, this section to be filled out when the property is being shown or when an offer is being made. Well, the likelihood of us knowing how many properties we're gonna be showing before we show them is high. You know, we're probably showing 3 or 4, whatever, 5. I don't know about you guys. If you guys are showing over 7, I'm gonna be like, whoa, that's a lot. But for the most part, they give enough space for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so let's say I'm taking Joyce, you're my client, I'm taking you out to see properties here in Upland. I'm gonna show you 4 properties. Joyce, I'm going to actually send you this form so that you are advised that these are the properties that I'm gonna go and show you, and it's going to say the compensation that's being offered, or if any at that. Remember, on the side, I did speak about this before. On the side right now, it currently says MLS and CBC. That's gonna change. There's over 67 changes that are happening with all of our forms, and they're doing them as August comes along and trickles along. That's most likely gonna change, because what's gonna happen on the MLS, guys? Compensation is not gonna be disclosed on the MLS. It's gonna be taken away. It's gonna be like, oh, I made you look, yeah. So I'm going to send this to the client and say, hey, Joyce, you know what? These are the properties I'm showing you in Upland on Saturday. I need you to review this so that you are able to see what I'm gonna be showing you. And at the same time, I want you to sign, because you acknowledge and receive the copy. Okay? So that they can say, no, I'm not gonna pay that. I didn't know. Well, I'm sorry, Joyce. I did send it. I sent it on this date. You signed it.
I have a question. So, since we're not gonna be able to see the compensation on the MLS anymore, then how we're gonna put the amount here? We're just gonna base it on to what we are expecting to make ourselves, or we have to call the agents?
Not only are we doing more than what we have to do, I have to call Jennifer Lucero and ask her, yeah, Jennifer, I'm calling you. I'm calling Jennifer Lucero and saying, hey, I have a client. I'm gonna be showing them your listing here in Fontana. What is the compensation? So before I even send this form to Joyce, I should have already contacted every agent. Compensation. So I'm not blindsided. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question, because, okay, say like when the first house is, they're gonna pay 2.5, so we're not asking the buyer to pay anything. But then the next house, they're paying only 500. So the buyer is knowing that it's 500. So we have to come up with a figure that we're willing to work with the buyer on, is that it? Like, how much they're gonna pay us to compensate?
What's your worth?
But we have to,
What do we put in here, the 500 or what we?
no, that's just it, there will be.
So remember, guys, that's a great question. So I want to recap. In page 1 of the BRBC, the buyer's representation, buyer's compensation agreement. Number 1, I think it's area 3.
That's what we said.
We write down what we're gonna be charging.
Okay.
They are in agreement to what we are charging. If they are only giving us 500, not only are they aware that they would have to come in with a difference, but what's that other form that I mentioned last week that we also should be turning in and check marking on the RPA? Does anybody remember?
It's for the extra, right, that we can
So
keep it?
I call it, okay, on your RPA, you'll be checking mark the 3 Gs. Remember that? I call it 3 Gs because it's in section 3, letter G. And also you're gonna be sending the SPBB. The SPBB is the seller's, buyer's, I'll bring it up because I know Doris is gonna get on my face on that one. Don't get mad. It's a lot, Doris. Please forgive me, okay?
Seller payment to buyer's broker.
Yes.
What is that?
So seller's payment to buyer's broker. This is a lot, guys. And I'm like, today I'm more calm, I think, because it's like we're getting almost towards the end of this, of this course, kind of. But it's like, I'm already like, I'm in my zen. I already know that this is all coming up. And I just gotta I'm not in denial anymore. I have come into truth with, this is what I'm gonna have to deal with.
So what, we have to fill in that one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which one, what is it that we need to fill on that?
YouTube video last week, all the instructions are there.
Okay.
So, going back to this, if I'm just only offering $500 for compensation, your client will already it's already been disclosed to them. So if the client actually likes that home, we know that we have the conversation with the buyer, letting them know, I'm going to write up the RPA. I'm going to check mark 3G. And I'm also going to submit the seller payment to buyer's broker. I will see if I can get the seller to pay part of my commission. But please understand that in the SPBB, there's a wonderful area that says seller may accept, reject, or counter this term, as with any other term in buyer's offer. It's not guaranteed, but honestly, about Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, I'm gonna do my best to see what I can do for you. But just be prepared that you may have to pay my compensation.
Okay, so we can, we can offer a little bit higher price and requesting the seller to pay more commission upfront so that the buyer won't have to come out of pocket with it.
Everything's negotiable. I like the way you're going around that, like that little detour. That works. But also keep in mind that we gotta also make sure that it works with who? Thank you. No, the buyer's lender.
Oh.
Right, Sandra? Everybody knows Sandra. Say hi to Sandra. Hi, Sandra. So remember, because she's in the lending department, if you have questions, if you have any questions regarding that, double check with your loan officer, the lending department, because we don't know if that's gonna be okay with the lender, whoever you guys are using. And if they don't know, well, then that loan officer, you might wanna recheck who you guys are using. But anyways, that could be, I like that detour. I mean, I would have thought of that detour myself. I'm pretty sure everybody will. But again, nothing's guaranteed on that. Okay? All right, does everybody understand this? More. Next thing, please also keep in mind that we have Joyce, I have you sign the top part. I wanna go back to this. I have you sign the top part, but there's a bottom part of this form. I wanna make this clear. We only have her sign the top part, not the bottom part. The bottom part, it says this section to be completed upon close of escrow, when the final compensation is determined.
Okay.
This is getting good, huh?
Really?
I mean, every little, I'm telling you, this is like Alice in Wonderland. I am going through this rabbit hole. I am going through a whole lot of stuff. Now, the question that some of you may ask, okay, well, what happens if we didn't get into any of these homes? Well, guess what, guys? The next batch of homes that you show, well, guess what? We got to do
Have to
this.
get a new form?
New form. And how about if my offer gets accepted for Joyce out of the properties that I showed her? Then that's where we will have to fill this out. And guess what, guys? Guess what? Buyer's initials below are not required but can be used as evidence that buyer has been notified of final compensation. I'm gonna get the buyer's initials. Joyce will be initialing that form. Yeah.
So we need to fill it out that page every time, that form every time we go into show property, pretty much.
It is suggested. I would rather, and like I said, I'm glad that we're all here because everybody has an option, everybody has an opinion. I love people's opinions, honestly. I like what you guys come up with. I think that if you guys come up with something and maybe we can brainstorm it or work it together to actually make sense, I think it'll make sense. But me personally, I don't ever want to blindside not a seller and let alone not a buyer, especially with these new forms. Mm-hmm. So before I go out and show them a property, I would have them look at this form. These are the properties that I'm showing you, and there's the compensation. This is what happens. You know why? Because at least they have a heads up. I need to be prepared that on this next property that I'm going to see, I may have to pay. But then at the same time in your presentation, you also, and when you're talking to them about this form, you have to make it very clear that there's additional forms that you are able to help them find out if the seller will actually negotiate to pay the rest of the compensation, which is, I'll repeat myself again. You check mark on your RPA, you check mark the 3 Gs, SPRBB, or SPBB, because you're submitting this. And it's up until this gets submitted, and then the response is back for you to find out determination if the compensation is gonna be paid to you.
Do you suggest that we submit that form before, send it over or with the offer?
You're submitting this with the RPA, honey?
The offer.
Oh, yeah. Listen, sweethearts, darlings, my sweet peas, my buttercups, my Kit Kats, my butterscotches, okay? Because I'm being super sweet right now. All my caramel macchiatos.
Oh,
You guys are submitting an RPA with the 3G check and the SPBB with it. It does not hurt. You may have the option that the buyer may not have to pay all the compensation. The seller is not stingy and will pay. Okay? All right, guys. Yes, Mr. President.
No, just, that was a good idea. She said, say you submit at their price and you ask for for out of 3,000 or whatever. And they say no, but you raise the price to a counter to the counter for, selling agent's commission. That should be acceptable with any lender, don't you think?
We don't know. We don't know what the lender's gonna think. We
Because
don't,
it's just a counter to the counter.
it's a counter, but at the same time, we don't know if the lender, and that's why I'm glad Sandra's here. We don't know if
Sandra?
Sandra, can you please stand up so people know who you are?
No, don't you, you see that as a problem?
It shouldn't be a problem, I mean, if you're going to sell a purchase, that's the competition.
Just a
The
counter to counter.
reason why I say that is because then this is a cause of concern for me, and I don't wanna get sidetracked, you guys, because we can discuss this like after in an open session afterwards. The reason why this is, something that we have to discuss with the lender and find out what the lending is gonna be, because I know that if we do, credit for lender required repair or lender repairs, they end up like throwing it as closing costs. And so if I'm asking for X amount of dollars to be paid for my commission, I don't want that to be taken as closing costs. I want to know what the lender is the lender going to allow that? So I think as time goes on, we'll have to find out what Fannie Freddie Mac is going to decide on that. And I know that they already came out with something, but I don't know if it's concrete on that.
And appraisal.
And it has to appraise, and that's another one. So, yeah, I mean, again, this is like literally, we are Alice in Wonderland and we are going all the way down, okay? I don't want that because that might give me a headache, but no, okay? So, okay, I think we went through the ABCD, anticipated broker compensation disclosure. We good?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, guys. So we spoke about ABCD. Are you guys clear on the SPBB?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So let's talk about the BTA. I'm telling you guys, this is like,
I don't know.
I mean, it's probably not gonna be in your forms, but that's why I have it up on the screen. Again, please take note at the end of the class. David, I'm gonna confiscate that phone. You sound like the electrician at my house right now.
BTA.
The BTA, Buyer Transactional Advisory. Are you guys learning something? I always ask, because if I'm boring, I need to know. Because then I'll walk, then I'll walk out.
There's time here.
Please don't.
No, I want to make it lively, and you guys, I want you guys to enjoy this class as best as possible, even though it's a lot. It's like worse than like the SATs or college exam.
Yeah, this is like too many
Yeah,
formulas.
too many I know, right? Too many formulas. I'm doing calculus and it's real estate, okay. The Buyer Transactional Advisory. Okay, this is a simple form, honestly, guys. The Buyer Transactional Advisory will be included in the buyer's representation or broker's compensation agreement. It's gonna be all in there, okay? So just read through it. It goes through general information. Buying real property is a process, obviously. Buyer's obligation, reasonable care and other professional assistance. So make sure you go through this because this is part of everything. Letter B, communicating important issues. This is where we spoke about the BMI, the buyer's material issues. It discusses it here. Again, buyers need to notify their agent in writing. So maybe you don't even have that form with you, but I would ask that you use that CAR form because we should be using that CAR form.
Okay.
Buyers need to notify their agent in writing of any important or material issue to them. Car form BMI. If buyer's circumstances or interest change during the property buying process, buyers should notify their agent in writing. So you know how when we discussed the BMI form, the buyer material issue form, if they were going to have a change in anything, we would ask them to actually go back on the form, we write it in, and then they check, or they sign and they date it they can actually send you something in writing. They can send you an email, print it out, make sure it's in your file, attach it to the BMI form. Because like in anything, buyers change their minds about a lot of stuff. At one point, they want to live near Skid Row, and the next time they want to live by the mountains. I mean, like, I don't know. Like they just change their minds all the time. Sometimes they say that they want like a 2-bed, listen, even this, they want a 2-bedroom property. And then what happens? They end up buying like a 4-bedroom new home. So yes, get it in writing, guys. Okay, agent duties and limitations. Agents perform any services for buyers during the course of the home buying process, the sophistication of the buyers, the experience of others. Okay, so this is basically, you should know your craft. If you don't know your craft, I'll be a little scared. But no, you guys get to know your craft. Be more like, be into it, get more like involved with the buyers. Again, we were always saying, let's get listings, but honestly, we could get both and we'll be fine. We just, on the buyer's end, we're gonna be doing a little bit more work. Agents, authorizations, obligations, and limitations for property transactions of which agent is aware and not precluded from participating in by buyers during the representation period. Agents are authorized to provide and review forms to create a property contract for the acquisition of a specific property. It's easy. RPA. Pretty basic. Guys, learn all of this. You guys should know all of this. Scope of agent duties. You should know what your duties are. This form is super freaking easy. I had to use the word freaking because it's super freaking easy. You should know what your duties are. And then also you should know what your BRBC agreement allows for dual agency. And it's in there. So if you're representing both sides, they'll know. Okay, and guess what? Guess what happens when that happens? Compensation is disclosed. Dun, dun, dun. Imagine that. It's gonna happen. They will know that you have charged 8% and you have no shame in your game. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But you guys see where I'm getting with it? This is super simple, super basic form. You guys should already know your duties, your obligations, limitations, all of that. You should know that the BRBC is always, at this point, it's going to be always required. It's going to be part of your brokerment file. Has to be in there. Just remember, you guys got to get the buyers to acknowledge and sign this. Yes, ma'am.
CAR is actually doing us a favor by complicating everything with all these forms. No, it really is, because they always have an ulterior motive for things. So
Don't say
it's justifying our commissions. And once the buyer sees all this, then they're gonna say, wow, we need a realtor. Because they want us realtors to still be around, right? Otherwise, the whole organization is gone. So they're actually doing us a favor because now they're seeing our worth and what we have to go through.
I like what she has to say. I think the complication of all of this, because come on, you guys have to admit it's a little complicated, right? Yeah, it's very complicated.
It doesn't like that on purpose.
I like the fact that they're doing this on purpose, because Ursi does have a good point. They're doing it on purpose because it's going to weed out the great agents from the from the ones that are not so great. The most professional from the not so professional. Again, just quick story. During COVID, we saw a bunch of newbies come in, which I'm not hating, but some of these newbies just didn't, when I say newbies, new agents, just didn't know how to represent a buyer correctly or represent a seller correctly. And they'll be like, yeah, just go to the property. Oh, no, I love this one. Yeah, you know what? I can't show you properties this weekend, Ursi, but you know what? Go to the property and, just let me know if you like it or not. They weren't doing their job, their obligation to, their responsibility as an agent to their buyer. For me, I felt like it was a disservice. Well, guess what? They're now going to be needing that form signed. So yeah, for them to complicate our life, it's going to set apart the professionals from the non-professionals, in my opinion. But there you have it. Okay, guys, let's go. So, okay, we did the ABCD. We did the BTA, buyer transactional history. We did the BMI. I want to talk about notice of broker involved properties.
Which one is that one?
This one will also be part of the forms that you guys will need. Can anybody remember why you should use the NBIP, Notice of Broker Involved Properties? They're kicking us out with the lights turning off. Does anybody remember?
So we can get compensated for showing them?
Which one was that?
Notice of Broker Involved Properties. Okay, or NBIP. It sounds like MVP. Yes, ma'am.
If they cancel, and they go with
If they
another
cancel,
agent. If they cancel their agreement with you and they go with another agent, you have that notice that you already showed those properties, so you're due the compensation.
Bingo. And how soon?
Oh, this is a month.
Everybody.
Very good, Jennifer.
And thank you. That was a good answer. But wait a minute. There's more to that. When are you expected to issue this form to the buyer?
Within the 5 days.
Thank you. Okay?
When?
Within 5 days.
After cancel.
After the cancellation, honestly, guys, I would be doing it like right away. I'm doing the cancellation and I'm doing this form. Since this goes well with since this goes with the cancellation, I'm gonna go to the cancellation part. So I'm gonna throw it over to this form. Because it goes hand in hand, guys. It really does. Can a buyer cancel with us?
Yes.
What happens if they cancel the exclusive, on an exclusive? How long do they have to wait to work with another agent?
30
30 days.
Yes, Joyce? Perfect. I wanna know, when can they work with another agent?
I'm thinking 6 months.
Girl,
No, 3 months?
girl.
I don't remember.
Okay, let's let Joyce know. What is it again, guys?
30
days.
After them sign.
And guess what, and Joyce, guess what happens, what you as a buyer have to like do to Jennifer Lucero if you wanna work with her? You have to let her know about your cancellation. You need to provide a copy of that cancellation. Because guess what Jennifer's gonna ask you? Have you worked with another, are you working with another agent? Oh no, Jennifer, I'm not working with another agent. I canceled. I couldn't stand that agent. That agent drove me up the wall. And here is my documentation. So that she's aware. But then Jennifer is gonna be like, you know what, Joyce, I would love to help you out. But you got this cancellation signed in the beginning of June, on June 1st. I have to wait a time period for me to be able to show you properties. So keep this in mind, guys. This is important. Again, things may change, but as of right now, it doesn't seem like it's changing. When you do your buyer's agreement and you're speaking with them, where in the office, please not at Wendy's, at In-N-Out, or at Starbucks. When you're having your presentation, please let them know the ramifications if they choose to decide to cancel. Because before it was, oh, Joyce, I don't want to work with you. You know what? It's not that I don't want to work with you. It's like, you know what? It's too much right now. It's like showing me all these properties. I'm getting overwhelmed. You know what? Let's just like put it to the side for about a month. You know how they start like doing that little dance, like that little, I gotta go to the bathroom dance. But they're really trying to get out of working with you.
Yeah.
Then they start they ghost you, stuff like that. Well, bingo, when this happens, when you're doing the BRBC, when you're signing it up, also inform them, hey, by just to let you know, I want to talk a little bit of the possibility if you decide to cancel and not proceed. If you do at any given moment, that is quite all right. But please keep in mind, you guys can do it however you want to do it. Please keep in mind that you have to wait 30 days to work with another agent. I've asked this question in previous classes. Will a buyer wait 30 days?
No.
Thank you. So what my suggestion is, you better be on your game, on your P's and Q's. If you hate the client, you better be nice. I mean, you better deal with it because you just want to keep them happy, okay? Keep them informative, make sure you know everything because you don't want to let them go. And the thing is that if you want to let them go, it could be mutually written together, okay? So that's another form of a cancellation. All right, do you understand that? Yeah. Perfect. So cancellation of buyer's representation. So you guys, like I said, the cancellation of buyer's representation also goes with the NBIP. Remember that when you're doing this, fill out everything correctly, especially in the areas of A. Before we go to A, I'm going to talk about number 2. Notice the cancellation of buyer's representation. The representation may be canceled by either buyer or broker or both. So Joyce may not want to work with me. I may not want to work with her. Feelings mutual. It's all good. We're good. Okay. But we really gotta check mark that there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So by signing in the applicable box below this paragraph 2, buyer, check mark either buyer or broker hereby gives notice to the other to cancel the buyer's representation and terminate their agency relationship, duties, and responsibilities. Compensation may be payable as specified below. So then that's where you insert all of this. But effective date of cancellation. If there's no written agreement between buyer and broker, or if there's a written agreement and such agreement is for non-exclusive representation, the cancellation is effective when?
Immediately.
Thank you. Or pursuant to a written buyer representation agreement X amount of days after receipt of this notice. Okay. When it's non-exclusive, it's canceled when? Immediately. It can bounce. So do we ever want a non-exclusive?
No.
This is the COBR, cancellation of buyer representation. Okay. Number 2, if there's a written agreement and such agreement is for exclusive representation, the cancellation is effective when? After receipt of this notice. 3, regardless of the agreement between buyer and broker, the parties may agree to mutually cancel the buyer representation immediately or upon X amount of days after the last signature in the mutual cancellation box. So Joyce hates my guts and I can't stand hers. I'm going to be like, listen, Joyce, listen, I get you. It's just like, this is not a win-win. It's not. It's cool. We don't see eye to eye. You see red. I see burgundy. I might want to go AWOL. So we're canceling this now and you are free to go. So I sound like Southwest Airlines. You're free to fly. Fly on your own. Yes, sir.
Can you charge her a cancellation fee?
We're not using you.
You know, that I honestly, I don't know if, I'm just gonna say, well, that's a good question. That is a very good question. I will stay tuned on that. I am not going to answer that because I don't, yes, ma'am?
I mean, I'm thinking if it's pre-written in your agreement, like your buyer broker agreement,
We're
like if you
independent
cancel on
contractors.
me, $500 fee or whatever. If it's pre-written, I would think that that's just my opinion.
Correct, and if it's pre-written, guess where that compensation goes to?
The broker.
Thank you.
It's not a commission.
It's not a commission.
So David, would you like to ask that question again? And should we
No
put Bob Feldman on the line?
I mean,
Because, yeah,
That's
I
a
don't
good
know,
question.
but I'm just saying.
listen, it's possible
Yeah.
that, it is possible, I'm not gonna say that it isn't, it could be, but please don't mark my words by me saying, yeah, you can do that. I'm gonna say, let's wait to see what comes out of it, because ideally, okay, so let's just put a number out there. How much were you gonna charge if I decided to cancel because I can't stand you?
$1,000?
$1,000?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
The time?
okay, so for time and effort, you're gonna cancel on me, I agree to pay $1,000,
And then you're free to go.
and I'm free to fly.
So they will have to wait
Because
30
sometimes
days.
it's not, they're not worth
If it's
keeping.
mutual cancellation.
Well, if it's is it a mutual
Well,
cancellation?
yeah, just to get rid of them, because you just don't want to work with
I
them
think
either.
a mutual cancellation
I don't think that would apply.
would justify getting paid.
Yeah, a mutual cancellation.
No. I mean, not about the fee or whatever. I'm just saying, like, if
I-
they cancel mutual cancellation, we will have to wait 30 days or
Mutual cancellation, it's
They
done.
both agree.
Okay.
Isn't there
Both
immediate?
agree.
Both agree.
Okay.
But as far as,
Unless you fill in the dates.
yeah,
Oh, okay, so when it's explicit, then I have.
okay, because this can go anywhere, guys, and I don't wanna go I don't wanna detour it, I'm not going all around, but let's just like condense it, because your guys' mentality is, I wanna get that coin, okay. So, okay, so let me just say this in a nice, appropriate way. If you decide that you are going to be charging me, David, $1,000 because you just want out, we gotta really wait to see what's gonna happen. I think that would be up for discussion with Rod Feldman, because we don't know what they're gonna decide, because this is a cancellation. This is not, if it's an exclusive contract, I would say that would be a little bit different, maybe, because we already know what our compensation is, but you're canceling because you both mutually agree. So why do I wanna pay you if we both mutually agree, I hate you, you hate me, and I want out?
It starts off exclusive, but then they just become a thorn in your side.
Then you can issue, then if they
But
become a
if they
thorn,
approach you with the cancellation and you have an exclusive with them, that's when you already know where you stand with them.
correct,
So you might as well get paid.
oh my lord, okay, so that's gonna be a TBD.
Yeah.
And that is not, a form, that is called a to be determined, because that is not a car form, it is a TBD, a to be determined, because again, we are going on the scope of the outer layer, and I'm trying to keep it in the nucleus, okay? All right, so next, D. Oh, I'm sorry, let's go to C. The notice applies to all properties that may be subject to the buyer's representation. Okay, notice of all properties, so you guys already know that you guys need to make sure you have a list of all the properties that have been shown, make sure that they have a list of all the properties that you're showing, because that needs to know, that's more homework, Joyce.
It sure is.
Yeah, I know, girl, I know, the struggle is real, but we gotta do it, okay. D, I know, just make sure you're doing your job. D, broker will not be buyer's agent during any negotiation or transaction that results between buyer and seller regarding any property. Any questions that buyer has about the property shall be directed to the seller's broker, if any, or to the seller. That's kind of obvious, you know? E, compensation due to broker, okay. If a written buyer representation agreement provides, I think this is where you want it, there you go. There you go, bingo, here it is. If a written buyer representation agreement provides for compensation in the event of cancellation of the agreement, buyer agrees to pay broker as specified in written agreement between them. Car form BRBC provides in the event of cancellation, broker shall be entitled to compensation for those properties for which there was broker involvement, defined in the BRBC. If any such property is acquired during the representation period, broker shall give buyer a list of such properties within 5 calendar days after receipt of the cancellation of buyer representation. Ooh, ain't that something? Babe, are you getting away with work? Right. Or number 2, compensation shall be paid as specified in paragraph 3 below, and only if both parties agree by signing below paragraph 3. So there is a little loophole.
Yeah, they bilaterally agree, just pay me, move on.
Jeez. I'm gonna have an anxiety attack right now. Okay, you guys see, it can happen. It can happen. But honestly, guys, listen, when it comes down to cancellations, you guys already know, you would have to literally track down that buyer to fork over that money.
Oh, but also, it's like goodwill, how's that gonna affect the company, how's that gonna affect you? I mean, if you're.
I think that this is gonna be some uncharted territories, because this is gonna be interesting. If we decide to implement this, how are we gonna get that money if we're canceling?
You take them to civil court and get a judgment against them. You already have their information.
That costs more than $1,000.
You can do it yourself.
But plus, it's a black mark on our, company, it's a black mark on realtors, it's a black mark on us, because they're gonna feel cheated. Gosh,
And that's what we don't want.
we want goodwill.
Walk away.
Small claims court.
Yeah, well,
We're already,
Small claims court is like, what is it, up to 10 grand?
Yeah, get the,
$12.50 now.
get the contract price and get what you can.
Oh my gosh, okay, listen, David likes to be in court all the time, I think. Okay, stop fighting it, stop, okay? But now you guys know, honestly, you guys need to tread lightly on this, it could go either way, and honestly, you gotta, at the end of the day, I think you gotta ask yourselves, is it worth it? Okay, is it going to be worth it? Okay, with that, because I'm going a bit over, we're almost done. Notice of broker involved properties. You guys already know, Jennifer Lucero already made it very clear. If you do the cancellation, this is the next form to come. Okay, because this form will tell you which properties you were involved with and with the buyer when you decided to have them as your client. And you need to put in there what properties you were involved on. Make a list, check mark it, and make sure you give them a copy within what?
5 days.
5 days. 5 days. Is that self-explanatory?
Yes.
All right, see, Justin Timberlake has to sign it. So I'm hoping I get his autograph. I'm just kidding. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Can you use ABCD as a substitute instead of going back and writing all the properties in to show that you showed them,
No, ma'am. Well, I'm telling you, they really are putting us through the ringer, and I am enjoying every minute of it. I am enjoying every minute of it. Okay. So with that said, I think we've mastered this, guys. I mean, I'm not gonna say that you mastered it.
Really strong.
I'm really trying to be nice here, okay?
Me too.
Listen, I want to applaud you guys because again, this is something that is going to be coming up, but if we don't get started on it early on, we're not going to know about it. Again, like I said in the beginning, a lot of people like to say that they're too busy, they don't have the time to go over these forms, but I say it's not that they don't have the time, that they're too busy. It's whether you choose to make the time and invest in your business so that you can make sure that you know all of this. As the weeks start coming and they start moving, there may be some changes. If there are, I will let you guys know. As far as the next classes are concerned, the next classes we're going to be talking about, the next one is going to be your buyer's resume and your buyer's presentation. So get ready for that because now we should be printing out these forms. I will give you the list that you guys should know because of what you guys need to be ready with. You guys should be printing out these forms and getting familiarized with them because again, if you know them now, when a slight change happens, you'll already be prepared. Be like, oh no, you know what? That's good. I don't need to deal with that. Move on to the next. Yes, ma'am.
The changes, they already set the time, right?
August 17th.
And the open houses.
And again, and then I get to come back and be in front of your beautiful faces because I can't wait to talk about what's gonna happen with open houses. Okay, so let me go down through these forms with you guys. You guys ready for pen and paper? Pen and paper.
Once we need for next class?
No, these are the forms that you should be printing out and getting to know.
For next class.
No, ma'am.
Are the ones that you give us right here?
No, these are the forms that you are going to be needing when you are dealing with buyers. You ready?
Are you going to include these ones?
Girl, these are basic. These are please.
Just right.
Please, let's just write these down.
Okay.
Number 1, BRBC form. Number 2, and I'm going to talk to this one briefly before you guys head out. BCA form. That's the broker compensation advisory form. Number 3, SPBB. Number 4, ABCD. Okay, I'm not gonna say, no. Number 5, BMI. Buyer material issue.
BMI?
Yes, body mass index. No, I'm just kidding. Buyer's material issues. Okay. Which number 6?
Yeah.
Number 6, BTA. Buyer transactional advisory. Some other forms that you guys need to also have in there. N as in Nancy, BIP.
Can you say that one more time?
N as in Nancy, B as in boy, I as in ice cream, P as in Paul. Next one, and the last one, COBR, cancellation of buyer's representation. Okay, really quick, guys. I don't know if I touched this. I think I did, but I'm gonna go through it one more time. The BCA form, make sure you guys have this signed as well as your BRBC early on. This is the broker compensation advisory form. This one details what seller's responsibilities are and buyer's compensation agreements are. This is a form that you guys need to go through so that the buyer is understanding of the compensation that they are going to have to pay for, if they have to pay, based on all the other forms which you're gonna have them sign. But remember, this comes in with your experience as far as your presentation. The more you do your presentation, this is gonna come easy, but this is one of the forms that when it comes down to buyers, you're gonna have to go through this with them and discuss, which is paragraph 2, buyers, brokers, compensation arrangements. This tells you everything and explains it to them for them to have an understanding of what's going on and the reason why they're having to sign a BRBC. This will probably be the form that I would have them sign before the BRBC so that they are aware, okay, this is what I need to know about. And then now that I know about this, I am going to sign below and date. And now I'm going to hear what Lily has to say to me in regards to the BRBC. And I feel comfortable with her representing me as my buyer's agent. I'm going to sign the BRBC and make it obviously an exclusive because we don't want non-exclusive. And then she'll be able to represent me as my buyer's agent. Okay, guys? So you guys got all the forms?
Yes.
All right, guys. You guys made it happen. Thank you so much.
Thank
You know what? I'm possibly gonna make you some minor changes. Where's my apple?
Exactly, shame on me. But aren't we still required to have them sign the agency agreement from the buyer?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Aren't we required to have the buyer sign an agency agreement first?
It's already included.
Oh, really?